Hello, and welcome to the final in our Boost Your Mood series. In this session, we focus on how we want life to look going forward as lockdown restrictions are eased and society resumes a sense of normalcy. Before we begin, press pause and grab yourself a pen and paper. If you have any, you may also want to use coloured pens or pencils. Taking time to reflect. During the lockdown, we may have introduced new interests and activities into our lives, or reintroduced old ones that we didn't have time to do before. In our online series, the Wellbeing College has looked at some areas in which you may have discovered these, including connection, being active, taking notice, food, learning, sleep, and creativity. We focused on writing, but this could include any art form. So take this opportunity to reflect on this. Are there any areas here in which you discovered a new tool, habit, or hobby? Or did you reintroduce something that you used to enjoy? So pause the video and for each area, jot down anything you have begun practicing or that you have achieved or accomplished during the lockdown period. Here are some examples. So in the area of being active, perhaps you took up gardening or started running. In the area of taking notice, maybe you took more long walks or started yoga. Perhaps you finally got round to reading all the books on your shelf, and that would be in the area of learning. Or did you find more connection? Did you start making daily FaceTime with parents or old friends? Did you discover a new relationship with food, such as a new diet, or learning how to cook new recipes? Perhaps you finally established a sleep routine. Or you got in touch with your creative side. Maybe you started keeping a journal, knitting, or painting. You may not have something for each area, or some things may fit into more than one area. That's okay. It's your interpretation that matters. Moving into a new normal, it is important that we are able to emerge from this challenging period, feeling that we have taken something beneficial from it. As society begins to move towards this new normal, in which we may be re-entering the workplace and resuming a busier pace of life, we might want to consider how we will maintain our new habits or interests. So now for the fun part. Create yourself a vision board of how you would like life to look after the lockdown. Consider things like what changes you would like to see in society or in your own community. What would you like to see re-continued from before the lockdown? What lessons would you like to incorporate from this period? Do note that these are not goals you have to reach, but simply ideas that you have. So don't feel your vision must be limited by reality. You can make it as idealistic as you want. Pause the video and take your time. This is where you may want to use coloured pens and pencils. On the following slide, I've made an example. Some challenges. Moving out of lockdown does not mean the end of uncertainty. In fact, it is likely we will be enduring the same level of uncertainty about the future. So let's consider what challenges, anxieties, or uncertainties we might face as individuals as we move out of lockdown. For example, a lack of finance, returning to a stressful workplace, or limited access to public transport. Can you think of any more that might be more personal to you? Take your time, pause the video, and jot them down. Coping with post-lockdown uncertainty. As has been recommended for coping with the uncertainty of lockdown, focusing on what you can control rather than what you cannot control is a helpful tool for coping with the uncertainty of emerging from lockdown. So here's an exercise. Take a moment to consider what you will be able to control as society comes out of lockdown. Using your vision board and list of challenges, make 2 lists. One of the things you can control and one of the things you cannot. My example was things I can control are my routine, but I can't control my access to public transport. Of course, one of the principal things that we can control is how we incorporate the activities that help maintain our well-being during lockdown into the new landscape. Now we will refer to some of the tools and activities we have looked at in Bristol Wellbeing College's online sessions to demonstrate ways we can plan this. Going forward with our new tools. Let's return to some of the areas we have looked at in our online series and the tools we might have acquired. Here are a couple of examples, though do focus on the ones relevant to you. So we have connection, daily FaceTime with parents, a new relationship with food, such as a diet or doing more cooking, or we maybe had tapped into our creative side through writing a journal, painting, or even knitting. So how can we carry these tools going forward out of lockdown? Here's a planning exercise. On a piece of paper, draw a table and consider which areas of well-being you would like to maintain after lockdown, the activities and tools that you have acquired in that area, and any obstacles or challenges you may face in maintaining them. Consider how and when you can incorporate them, and any new ways you can put them into practice as lockdown eases. Of course, you may find that maintaining all of them is just not realistic, which is fine. The idea is to prepare ourselves for adjusting to another big change and feel confident about moving forward under this new kind of normal. On the next slide is my example of a planning table. So for connection and daily FaceTime with parents, I thought perhaps I won't be able to do this every day anymore, but I could plan to do it twice a week. And as lockdown eases, I could arrange to meet them somewhere new, or I could go and visit them at their house. For food and doing more cooking, I consider I might have less time to do this, so I'm going to try to designate at least 3 meals a week to trying new recipes or using the ones I have learned in this time. And the real test as lockdown eases is to invite friends to sample my new skills. And keeping in touch with my creative side is still really important. So I've started painting, but perhaps going back to work, I may feel less motivated. So I'm going to try and take a sketch pad out with me and practice at least 5 minutes of sketching as and when I can. To motivate myself even more, I might invest in new materials and take up a life drawing session once or twice a month. The more we share these ideas on how we can move forward, the more we can help and support one another. So do feel free to share some of your ideas from these activities. Just take a photo of your page, making sure the writing is clearly visible, and send it to bristol.wellbeing.college@second-step.co.uk. We would love to see your vision boards. And thank you. We hope you found this session useful and that it has helped you find a way of focusing your efforts as we move out of lockdown. We hope to see you in the live session where we will share, explore, and discuss some of our ideas for going forward together. Take care.